So let me say this, guys. Trust God by bringing him your first fruits. What do I do with my resources? Trust them to God. Trust in him and all these things will be added unto you. I knew the words when I was younger. I knew the promise. Now, you guys know my story. A lot of you guys do. Some of you guys don't because you're new. So I'm not going to go too deep into it. But almost 15 years ago, I decided to say yes to God and become the youth pastor. Started off as a youth pastor because there was only youth students here, right, at GFC. At that time, I wasn't expecting everything God would give me, through this ministry, but I just wanted to be faithful. So I gave of my time, my resources, and my future to God's calling on my life here as the pastor. And for 10 years, when GFC couldn't afford to pay me, right, even a minimum wage salary, when some of my friends were asking, why are you still there? I had the distinct conviction, be faithful. Trust God. So I worked in order to support myself while doing ministry. I was in a doctoral psychology program, as you may know, when I started my first 2 years at GFC, right? So I had a year rotation in Fresno, which is like a 3.5-hour drive from here. Another rotation the next year in Santa Rosa, which is like a 9-hour drive, but I flew to Oakland and then drove like an hour and a half, 2 hours to Santa Rosa and back. And what I would do is every week I would stack my hours Monday through Thursday. So, instead of a 40-hour week, Monday to Friday was Monday through Thursday, so that I could fly out Thursday to get here to do ministry on the weekend, and I could fly back up on Sundays so that I could go to work and get my training. Many weekends I would drive to save money or because there were no flights available. I remember one weekend where snow came and there were so many road closures, I had to take a roundabout way, right, to get to Fresno, and ended up pulling it in around 4 a.m., only to not really sleep, just get up, wash, and then get to a 10-hour shift at 8 a.m. the next day, right, the same day, right? I had a lot of stories like that. And I never really entertained the voices in my head or the enemy who was saying, like, why are you doing this? But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my doubts. Wonder why am I pouring my heart and my soul into kids who are ungrateful, right? Who don't know. Some who just get up and leave at the first sign of trouble. When I've sacrificed so much for them, why am I committing to people who don't commit back? Why am I getting paid so much less when peers who I felt like I was smarter than, more capable than, are making so much money, getting that security, those cars, those jobs? I questioned my self-worth. My wife had no peers. My brother and sister had no peers. But you know what? Seek first his kingdom. So I continue to do that. Meanwhile, when Paulina and I couldn't get pregnant, you guys know that year after year, we were wrestling with doubts like, God, I'm giving you my best, right? Can't you give me this one thing? We're not asking for much. I saw what infertility was doing to Paulina, and it was tough. Then when we did have Natty, I wavered because Paulina long dreamed of being a stay-at-home mom, and I promised that to her, right? And I wasn't able to give it to her because my career took a turn. It hurt knowing she had to be gone 11 hours a day to bring in money and drive through traffic, causing her to miss so much precious time with Nadi. And she would be angry with me for doing ministry because it didn't pay, because I couldn't provide, while she had to sacrifice the things that she wanted so dearly to put money, right, in the bank and to pay for our bills. And then the clothing business that I thought God gave me so that I could quit my job and focus on ministry went under, and you know what happened there. Not only was I $250,000 in debt because of my education, now I was an additional $150,000 in debt because of the very business I thought God gave me so that I could do ministry. And I kept that debt a secret from Paulina, which is bad, and it wrecked me. I couldn't sleep. It's something I never shared before, but there were actually moments where the thoughts enter my mind is, what if my life just ended? Then Paulina could collect life insurance and pay off our debts, my debts, and our house. It was a very dark time. I seriously pondered quitting ministry. You guys know this, right? Maybe I need to quit so I can get a job that pays a better salary. Maybe that's how I get out of this debt. Maybe that's how I provide for my family. But you want to know something? Even with all that going on, I don't know why, we kept tithing. We brought God our first fruits. Why? Because what little we did have, that was still God's. You guys know the rest of the story, right? God showed up. All these things he added. He did give us Nadi in year 7 of our infertility journey, which, if you guys know the story, it was a legit miracle. And even though our church had nobody our age, God started bringing peers and friends into our lives. When I considered taking a loan out against my house to pay off our debts, my parents and Paulina's parents and my sister stepped up to get rid of the worst of my credit card debt. And then during the whole should I step down from ministry to provide for my family phase, we found out that $270,000 in student loan debt was wiped out. Why? Because they found out that I had worked for my church for more than 10 years, which qualified me for the student loan, get this, forgiveness program. God answered the question, should I step down from ministry to provide for my family, with an emphatic no. He said, I am your provider. Seek first my kingdom, and I will add all these things unto you. Trust me. Then came the decision, what do we do about Paulina's job in LA? The one she's spending 11 hours away of the day away from home to get to. The one she's wanted to quit from so long that's causing her health to deteriorate and mentally and stress-wise. You see, for many years, Paulina's job had always been our security blanket. It was what we placed our faith and trust in, if I'm being honest about it, right? That's how we paid the bills. And in many ways, because of that, it was an idol. And I got the distinct sense from God, you need to make her quit. It wasn't good for her health. It wasn't good for our marriage. It wasn't good for Nadi. And it wasn't good for my ministry here. So even though it absolutely made no sense, because that's how we were bringing money, Paulina quit in October of last year. We put our trust and our faith in God because we had seen him do so much already. How could we not? But the question came up, how are we going to make ends meet, right? Now the church, you guys have given me a raise over the past 3 years, and I'm grateful for it. But I'm sure you guys know, it's not enough to pay bills or put food on the table. But you know what? We filed our taxes really late last year, and because my business was suffering, the government basically gave us back all the taxes we paid that year, and all of a sudden, we had enough money to cover a few months with Paulina not working. Then, when we used the last of our taxes last month, and we're like, oh, what are we going to do? Danny and Michelle got married. They asked Paulina to be their wedding coordinator, after which they gave her a generous donation, which you guessed it, covered this month's bills. But what about next month's bills? What are we going to do? One of our close friends who works at a Christian drug abuse program went to bat with his CEO for Paulina, and they created a part-time position for her to do work, the work she used to do, only this one now is work from home, and it only required 10 to 12 hours a week, so she can still be there for Nadi. And for how much money? For the exact amount we've been short each month since she quit her job back in October. Guys, God is giving us exactly what we need. Not any more. Not any less. He is adding these things. And you know something? If we never put our trust in him, we would never have seen the way he moves. The way he shows up. Now, when I knew, I'm like, oh, and how are we going to pay the bill? In my mind, I was like, God, you're going to provide. There's a calmness and a peace to me. Now, does this mean, okay, because God did this for Pastor Tim's family, that means we all have to quit our jobs, go into debt so that he could forgive it all. No. What I am saying, seek first his kingdom. What I am saying is trust in him. Bring him your first fruits. Give him your first and your best.